Well, the federal government has been taken to task over its controversial school chaplaincy program. A report by the Commonwealth Ombudsman has found the role of chaplains is poorly defined, and the Education Department hasn't provided enough guidance to schools that are taking part. The program started under the Howard government and now extends to more than 2,000 schools. Schools Minister Peter Garrett admits there's room for improvement in the administration of the scheme, but the Greens weren't so forgiving.
This report backs up the concerns that the Greens have always had about this program. A lot of taxpayers' money being spent on a program to run support programs for students that aren't clear. There's no defined role. The individuals involved have no requirement to have qualifications, and yet we're asking these people to engage with young people in our schools who are incredibly vulnerable.
So, Joseph Wakim, what problems highlighted in this Ombudsman's report trouble you about the presence of chaplains in schools?
Well, there are a number, I think, Tim. I mean, the obvious one that has just been mentioned there is the lack of qualification, credibility. We cannot have people who are lay people who happen to be a congregationist presenting themselves in front of young people in life crises, in situations where there might have been a death diagnosis or there might have been an illness in the family. Are these people suitably qualified, either in psychology, therapy or other sorts of sciences, to actually help these people in a professional way? The second concern I have, and that did come out of the report, is a very strong bias towards one particular faith. Now, there's no need for that. I thought the original idea under the Howard government was actually to introduce a sense of ethics and morality and value systems to help answer some of the bigger questions in life. It was not meant to be preaching one particular doctrine or religion. And so I think it's probably a very timely thing to have a review of this chaplaincy program and to make sure there's much greater accountability, because chaplaincy is so vague, it's so amorphous. We have it at the school that my children attend, and it does need to be measured in a way that is going to create a greater sense of accountability and fulfilment for the people who may be secular and may not have any faith that they want to practice at home, but they don't mind the idea of having an overarching value system that the children can use in situations such as the recent terrorism bombing or climate change and other such crises.
Ross Cameron, has it concerned you on the other issue of this report that more evangelising type chaplains are seeking to convert rather than counsel in schools?
Look, I regard this as smallest of small beer. I mean, I find it hard to get excited about any element of it. The reality is our troops have been taking chaplains into war zones for 200 years. I'm sure they can cope, with a playground. We don't have the funds to send a psychologist permanently into every school doing sort of clinical diagnoses. The big problem teachers say to me they have is they spend so much of their time doing social work, they don't have the resources to actually teach. And if the chaplains are in there putting up their hand, I wouldn't want their job. If they're in there saying, look, I've got an appetite to try and help, then I'm saying, you go, son.
Would it be better to extend the funding then and have professionals, psychologists?
Yeah, I mean, I also think I don't want to create a generation of victims who are all looking around for a reason why they desperately need, professional psychological care. I think life involves knocks, and I just think that what you have here is the Greens, who want to decarbonise Australia, but they also want to de-Christianise Australia. And while I'm not there, wanting to insist on scripture being taught in a certain way or insist on a certain number of chaplains in schools, I'm just saying I'm not offended by it. It doesn't bother me if it continues. I don't think it's perfectly done, but I think it's a net benefit.